Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jag, and today we're basically going to cover here Math 11, and the topic is graphing quadratic functions. Alright, so with that, let's get started. And again, if you just notice, last year in grade 10 math, we also covered graphing quadratic equations and the whole topic of quadratics. As we can see, the topic is covered again in Math 11. Okay, so we have to make sure we remember all these concepts from last year. Alright, so let's get started. I wrote down this function on the board. It's f of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. Okay, so the first step is just going to be you factoring out this quadratic expression. Okay, so I'm going to write down the product here, which is this last number. Okay, so the product has to be equal to negative 8. Okay, and the sum is equal to this middle number here, which is positive 2. Okay, so we're looking for two numbers. When I multiply the two numbers, it has to give me negative 8. Okay, so let's start off with 4 times 2. Because the sum of the two numbers has to be positive 2, the bigger number here, which is 4, I can see that the 4 has to be positive and the 2 has to be negative. Okay, so I'm going to put negative 2 and it gives me negative 8. Okay, so just like this, if I do 4 plus negative 2, it's going to equal to positive 2. Okay? Alright, and so we're going to write, because this is a simple trinomial, I can just write out my two factors in the brackets. So I'm going to put bracket x plus 4 and x minus 2. Okay? Remember, when you are checking your answer, I can just FOIL this out and make sure I'm getting this original expression that we started off with. Okay? So this is the first step. I'm just factoring out the quadratic expression that's given to me. In the second step, okay, I have to find out what the x-intercepts are. So let's write it right here. So x-intercepts, okay. What I'm going to do is just change the signs of whatever's inside the brackets. So I'm going to start with the first one. We're going to make the whole expression equal to 0. So I put x plus 4 equals 0. I'm going to take the 4 to the other side and change the sign. So x equals to negative 4. Okay, just like that. And the same thing with the x plus 2. I'm going to make that equal, x minus 2 equals to 0. Okay, when you take it to the other side, you're going to change the sign. So it's going to be x equals to positive 2. So these are actually my x-intercepts, and I can see that the x-intercepts are coming from my factored form of the quadratic function. Okay, I got x equals negative 2, x equals negative 4, and x equals positive 2. Okay, and in the next step, I have to find out what the vertex is. So let's write down vertex here. I always write Vx, okay? V means the vertex and x means the x point of the vertex. So to find this x point of the vertex, what we're going to do is you're going to add the two x-intercepts together and divide it by 2. Okay? So let me write it out first here. We're doing negative 4 plus 2 divided by 2. Okay? And the reason we're dividing it by 2 again, remember that the parabola is symmetrical on both sides, and that's the reason we have to divide it by 2 here. So we're doing negative 4 plus 2, okay, which is negative 2 divided by 2, okay? And this is equal to negative 1. So this is the x point of my vertex, okay? But I'm not done there. I have to find the y point of the vertex. So I'm going to write Vy here, okay? I'm going to take my negative 1 and I'm going to plug it back into this original equation, okay? Which is the x squared plus 2x minus 8. Alright? So let's plug that in. So I'm going to put negative 1 squared, okay, plus 2 times negative 1 minus 8. Alright, so most students just like to put this into their calculator, okay? And you could do that as well. I'm going to just write it out here. So this is 2 times negative 1, okay, which is negative 2 minus 8. Okay, and if you put that in your calculator, or you could just do some mental math here, this is going to equal to negative 9. Okay, so now I have basically my x and the y point of the vertex. Okay, so I'm going to write the vertex over here on the side. Okay, and when you write the vertex, make sure you're writing it in brackets. Okay, so I got -1 and -9. Now you can see I have 3 points all together. Okay, I have my vertex and I have the two x-intercepts, and 3 points is enough for me to graph this quadratic function. Okay, so with that, I'm going to take it off here. Okay, and let's try actually graphing it out, okay? And I'm going to read to you the exact question here. It says graph each function in the textbook and then use the graph to locate the zeros. So if the teacher uses the word zeros, that just means the x-intercepts, all right? So up here, I'm going to just sketch the graph, okay? When you do it in your book, you should actually make sure you're using graph paper. That way your graph is actually very accurate, okay? So let's start off with the vertex here. So -1. Okay, and I'm just going to use a scale here. I'm going by 2s. Again, you can use whatever scale you want, especially when you find out the vertex and you see that the y point of the vertex may be like a really big number. I would make sure I'm using a scale when I graph it out. Okay, when you use the scale, okay, your graph might not be as accurate, okay, but that's okay as long as the teacher can see the overall shape of the graph. And also what's really important is which way the graph is opening. Is it opening upwards or downwards? All right. So let's start off with this. We have our vertex. It is at -1, okay, and -9. So I just drew a dot there. I'm plotting that out. And the second thing we're going to graph out is going to be the x-intercepts, okay? So I can see my x-intercept was at -4. That's one of them, okay? And the second x-intercept was at +2. So I'm going to make a dot right there. Okay. And right here, I'm going to join these 3 dots together. Okay. And on your parabola, make sure you're always putting the arrows. Okay. What the arrows indicate is that the graph just keeps on going upwards and it never stops. Okay. Now, if you're looking at the original equation right here, so I'm just going to box it. Okay, I see that there is no negative sign in front of the x squared. And when you don't see a negative sign in front, that actually means that the graph is opening upwards. Okay, so no negative sign in front. And that way I know that this is the correct graph, okay, for my function here. All right, so let's just recap the steps that we went through. Okay, in the first step, I was given the function, the quadratic function. I have to make sure I factor it first, okay? And then I found the x-intercepts by just changing the signs within the factored form of the quadratic function, okay? When I'm finding the vertex, I have to find the x point of the vertex first. I'm going to add the x-intercepts together and then divide it by 2. That is my x point of the vertex. So in this case, we got -1, okay? When you're doing the y point of the vertex, you take the x point of the vertex, you plug it back into the original equation, okay? Now, I usually plug it into this original equation that's given to me, okay, just to make sure there are no mistakes, okay? I can also plug it into the factored form of my quadratic function because it's the exact same function here. All I did was just factor it out. And I should be getting the same answer. So I have my Vx, my Vy, okay? I have my vertex. I'm going to plot out my vertex, okay, in the last step when I'm graphing it out, all right? And then I'm going to make sure I graph out my x-intercepts, and then you just join the 3 dots together. Again, 3 points on the parabola is pretty accurate because I can actually see what the overall shape looks like. And this is basically my final answer, okay? And I have to make sure I'm just doing that mental check. Check if there's a negative sign in front of the x squared. And that tells you whether or not your quadratic function is opening upwards or if it's opening downwards. All right. And if there are no questions here, that brings our video to an end. I hope everyone learned how to graph out the quadratic functions, or maybe it was just a really good refresher and a review from grade 10 math. And thank you for watching this video. Make sure you press the like button and you subscribe to the channel. And I'm gonna see everyone next time in the next video. Thanks, bye.